Hey guys, what's up? Pitmaster Broda here again. Kinda like the last time I did a video with my real voice, I wasn't really planning on doing this again for a while since I know most of you aren't really here for that on this channel. But I figured after the beatdown YouTube received for striking Moist Critical and Markiplier's videos, which they reversed, then reversing MXR's strike, if you didn't realize they reversed his strike when I talked about that, that YouTube was going to take a backseat for a while and focus on simpler things like fixing their damn site and going after some of the criticisms I gave in that video. But just like a dim-witted cartoon character, YouTube couldn't help themselves continuing to make brain-draining decisions that continually lower their trust in creators and viewers. So what am I talking about this time? YouTube has recently done a full channel demonetization on the Nelk boys for filming themselves partying during the lockdown and ignoring rules and regulations in place. Now, personally, I don't see their channel demonetization any differently than what happened to Logan Paul or J-Station, both of whom got channel demonetizations based on their off-platform behavior. Yeah, I noticed differences between the two, with Logan actually uploading what he did to the platform, but you get what I'm saying. This next part, though, from Team YouTube themselves really caught my eye. So, Team YouTube made a statement saying if a creator's off-platform behavior harms our ecosystem, they'll take action to protect the community. Kind of like a lot of statements Team YouTube makes lately, this is a really broad warning, extremely broad actually, that leaves out a lot of details. Like, what exactly constitutes harming your ecosystem? God, I hate that term. You're a video sharing site. But seriously, we as creators need additional examples of this. I mean, you guys thought some kid playing with fireworks in MXR Plays video was worthy of handing his channel a community strike until half the internet crusaded and got it removed. So yeah, we really need additional details on this one, Team YouTube. Like, throwing this one out there, for instance, if a popular YouTuber gets into a verbal argument with someone like some kind of nutty Karen out in public, and it turns into a fight and people film it and it ends up on the news, does that mean they potentially face additional punishment from Team YouTube based on what they say or do in that video? A lot of video clips you see on Instagram and Twitter of crazy Karens and fights leave out a lot of context. More often than not, the person filming is giving their own interpretation of events and not the whole story. And let me throw out some more examples. A popular YouTuber gets thrown out of a sports game for getting really drunk and rowdy. Is that grounds for channel demonetization if that goes viral? I mean, some of these, YouTubers do pride themselves on being really big role models. What about a big YouTuber being accused by another woman of, spicy harassment? And YouTube does a channel demonetization, but then the accusation gets overturned in court. Could YouTube get sued by that YouTuber for lost wages at that point? The more you think about it, the more you start to realize that YouTube playing Big Brother could have bad consequences, not just for creators, but also for themselves. And I could go on and on with this, but if you couldn't tell, I'm not a big fan of YouTube trying to police their off-site behavior when they can't even fix their own site and often have no understanding of their own rules and how they work. I mean, you just gotta see how many channels they've had to reverse strikes on lately. It's a Gundam brought this up in one of his videos that he's mentioned, but it's very likely that the jobs to be a human reviewer on YouTube are probably outsourced to someplace like India. Me personally, I don't think the position of human reviewers exists at YouTube at all, and it's just YouTube trying to test their horrible AI again that's only gotten marginally better in the past 5 years. They only bring out a human review to actually look at something when people drag Team YouTube on Twitter. Remember when the bot first came out for a demonetization and it flagged like 50% of everyone's videos when they did that? That had to be one of the worst periods of time on the platform for everyone. I think the only other time that we had it worse was back in early 2012 when copyright trolls were at an all-time high. Now, I'm not against YouTube using channel demonetization and terminating channels if the individual is causing on-site problems, obviously, like uploading really terrible things like animal abuse or filing false copyright claims or using bots to boost their subs or views or doxing, hacking, sending out legitimate threats. Twitch will also permaban you for off-site behavior, but they're just slightly more competent than YouTube. You remember when people used to actually think Twitch was a better overall platform than YouTube for a while? I remember I did. Now you got people getting yeeted off of Twitch for no explanation whatsoever, like Dr. Disrespect. why can't these sites just be websites anymore? Like back in the early 2000s, most places on the internet would really only ban you if you posted like some really illegal stuff. These days on social media, it's like if you get banned off of 1 or 2 major platforms, the rest will just go ahead and ban you too, even if you haven't done anything on them yet. Now sometimes this is warranted if someone is a major problem, but I really only believe in reserving this for a small percentage of people. Certainly not people like Leafy. What I sort of feel like is going to happen within the next 3 to 5 years is big tech sites, if they're not regulated by the government, are going to just start to do background checks on who they want to be able to even make accounts or be allowed to post content at all. You know, like going through their search histories or maybe actually doing like actual real background checks. I know that might really sound out there, but if they're already going so far as to banning people for their off-site behavior, who wouldn't say that they wouldn't try to take an extra step further like this? I mean, Twitter right now has got an extremely extensive list of things they can delete you off the platform for because they're trying to make, like, basically an army of people that all think the same on that platform. Twitter right now has got an extremely extensive list of things they can delete you for, and they'll literally ban you for calling someone a boomer because it's ageism. Yeah, I never heard of that term before like 2020. Or if you're older and you tell a young person to shut up because they don't know anything, they'll also ban you for that too because that's also ageism. Twitter's like 90% K-pop stans now and celebrity stans that, and they go and they spam fam cams on all the hashtags. I really miss old Twitter from like back in like 2010 and 2012 where people would just constantly roast each other. And whenever people would post dumb stuff and things that were just really egregious, you know, people could just really unleash their feelings about it to them. That was back in the day when the only way you could really get banned is actually posting illegal stuff. There was only an upsurge in these wackos on social media when they weren't being protected under a mountain of rules by these big tech sites. Back in 2012, you could just like roast the hell out of them in a post, and they couldn't just report it and get you banned, so they had to sit out and cope. And I know when I read the comments, there's going to be a ton of you saying how we need a new YouTube competitor and all this other stuff, and there's a lot of those actually around right now, like BitChute, Storyfire, and Library, but most of them aren't really going to have a chance at beating any of these big tech sites until big tech gets regulated and broken up. I'll explain more about that in another video when I get time to do one of these. Anyways, I think that's all I got for now. Catch you guys later. Pitmaster Broda out. Peace.